This one is another one about subtracting decimals, kind of a review video for the beginning of our 6th grade year. I want you to try each one of these problems before you watch this video and see if you got them correct. Or if you have questions, to answer your questions, try this worksheet. You should have access to the worksheet first and then go through it. On each one of these problems, I also want you to do an estimate first. So make sure you are trying to estimate first on these. That'll help you out a lot with the decimals. So on one like this, just quickly we can do our estimate. Just something as simple. You just look at it and say, hey, if I leave this at 28 and round this one and say that one's close to 8, I could just go something like 28 minus 8. I know that's going to be close to what my thing is. So if it's 28 minus 8, my answer is going to be somewhere close to 20. So that's a pretty good estimate there. So we're going to just use our standard algorithm. So we're going to be able to stack these up. So we put 28.5 or 28 and 5 tenths. And just like adding, we need to make sure we line up our decimals when we are subtracting, because we need to take away from the same place value. So we have 5 tenths minus 3 tenths. That would give us 2 tenths. And then we have 8 minus 7. That would give us 1. And then our 2 just brings that down. So we end up with 21.2. And we can see that was close to our estimate of 20. So you want to do your estimates and see. That will just give you an idea of how close you are on these. Give you an idea if you're correct or not. So again, estimates are just something to give you an idea of where you're at. They'll really be helpful when we divide and multiply. So in this case, I would just do an estimate of like 50 minus, I would do something like 30 just to get a good idea. 50 minus 30 would just give us a good estimate. I know our answer is going to be somewhere close to 20. So again, 51 and 67 hundredths, and 32 and 63 hundredths, and then we can just take those away. So 7 hundredths minus 3 hundredths would give me 4 hundredths. Okay, and 6 tenths minus 6 tenths would give me 0 tenths. Decimal just drops straight down, just like in adding. Now 1 minus 2, we're going to have to borrow. So we're going to borrow a 10 from here, from this 10, and that would make that 11. So we got 11 minus 2. That's going to give us 9 for that, and this becomes a 4. So 4 minus 3, that's really 40 minus 30, because we're dealing with the tens right there. That would give us 1, or 10. So we end up with 19 and 4 hundredths. Okay? And so again, just like you've done before, this is just kind of review, most of these are. So that's what you're working on with these. We're just seeing how you can do with these. Now, both these first two, we had the same place value on both of them. These next ones, we aren't starting with the same place value. So in this case, first one, we're taking a whole number and we're subtracting a decimal that goes out to the hundredths with it. So we start the same way. Now in decimals, you got to add addition. You can put either one on top, but when we subtract it, we got to start with our 72. So our estimate, we could do a quick estimate like this. We could just do 70 minus, we could do something as easy as 67. So I know my answer is just going to be close to 3. Okay, so we know our answer is going to be just somewhere close to that. It's going to be bigger than that, we know, but you can just get a quick estimate like that so we know what it is. So again, when we stack these, we get 72. If there's no decimal, we can put a decimal after the whole number, And then this one goes out to the hundredths, so we can add zeros as place value holders out to the hundredth on this case. Okay. Then we're going to take away from that 67 and 100th. Now, if you have another way you could subtract some of these, and you might have another strategy that works for you, you can feel free to use that, but do kind of show your work so I can see what you're doing. Okay, so we need to take 100th from 0 hundredths. We can't do that. In order to do that, we got to borrow. We're going to have to come clear over here from our whole. So we take 1 from our whole. That would give us 1 whole left there. That would give us 10 tenths. We need to borrow 1 from that to give us 10 100ths. So we have 10 100ths minus 1 100ths would give us 9 100ths. We have 9 tenths minus 0 tenths would give us 9 tenths. Our decimal drops straight down. And now we have 1 minus 7. We can't do that, so we got to borrow from our tens here. So that's going to give us 6 tens. And we have 11 minus 7, and that's going to give us 4. And then we instant with 6 minus 6, so that'd just be 0. So we end up with 4 and 99 hundredths on that one. So that's close to 3, fairly close. So estimate on this one, you could round this up to 60, and you could just go, for my estimate, you could just go 60 minus 45. Take 5 to get up to 50, so we're still 10 off, so that means it'd be 15. You could also just round it down to 55, so you would have 55 minus 45, something like that, would give you 10. So those would be good estimates. Any of those would be a good estimate. So as you're working through those, whatever you come up with your estimate, but we're going to subtract here again. This one we're subtracting one that goes out to the hundredths, so we'll start again. We got to start with our 58, and then we'll put our decimal there after the whole number, and let's add zeros to hold places out to what we need to, out to the thousandths. So we have 45.183. Okay, and we're going to subtract that. Okay, we can't take 3 away from 0, so we're going to again have to borrow clear back here from our whole. And that will go to a 7. That would give me 10 tenths, but I got to borrow one of those tenths. And that would give me 10 100ths. I got to borrow one of those. That would give me 10 1,000ths. So 10 minus 3 would give me 7. 9 minus 8 would give me 1. 9 minus 1 would give me 8. Decimal drops straight down because we need to take from the same place value. 7 minus 5 would give me 2. Very good, 2. And then 5 minus 4 would give me 1. So I end up with 12 and 817 thousandths. So fairly close to 15, that we said our estimate would be. Okay. Close that, and we'll go down to this next one. If you need to pause this video and look at those a little bit more, go ahead and do that. Make sure you got these correct as you're going through these. Let's go ahead for our estimate on this one. We could just go something like 30 minus 20 would probably be a pretty good estimate. So we know our answer is going to be close to 10. So that's what we're going to end up with, close to 10 on this one. So if we work through this one, we have 30 and 3 tenths. We're going to have to take away to the hundredths, so we might as well put another place keeper there. We're going to take 18 And again, line up those decimals and 94. Oops. Take that away. So we need to borrow from our 3 here. That would give us 10 hundredths. So 10 minus 4 would give us 6. And we're going to have to borrow. We can't borrow from that 0 there, so we're going to have to borrow clear over here. From that 3, it's going to be a 2. That would be a 10. We got to borrow from that. That becomes a 9. And that would be a 12. So 12 minus 9 would be 3. Decimal drops straight down. 9 minus 8 would be 1. And 2 minus 1 would be 1. So 11 and 36 hundredths. So we said our answer would be somewhere close to 10. So we're pretty close to that. Our last one, a good estimate, easy estimate for this one would just be, we could say that's close to 40, that's close to 20. So we just end up with 40. I got to write that a little bit better. 40 minus 20. So we know our answer is going to be close to 20. Okay. So let's go ahead, stack those up. So we end up with 41. And again, that just goes to just the tenths there. So we need it out to the hundredths. So let's go ahead, make it go out to the tenths. And get it there. Okay, so we need to borrow from the 2 here, make that a 1. So 5 minus 10, that would give us 5. Need to borrow because we can't take 6 away from 1, so we got to borrow from the 1s here. So that would be 11. So it would be 11 minus 6 would give us 5. Decimal drop straight down. This is a 0 now, so we have 0 minus 0 is 0. And then we have 4 minus 2 is 2. So we end up with 20 and 55 hundredths. So that's that for those. So as you're going through these, take your time, make sure you know how to do these. If you're struggling with these, we'll get some more practice on some Con or some IXL. Let me know if you have any questions or if you need any help on these. Keep working on these and good luck. Have a good day. Bye.